All right, you guys, I am home from work and I cannot wait to take a look at this soup. Well, actually, I did take a look at the soup. Anyway, one thing about working graveyard shift, you're either going to be tired once you arrive home or you're not. And considering I am highly ADHD and or bipolar, I am nowhere near tired, but I do need to tire myself out because it is 8 o'clock in the morning and I got to work a little after 6:30. And I arrived home around 7, I'll say maybe 5 minutes before 7:30 if I'm not mistaken. And I set the pressure cooker on slow cook for 12 hours. And surprisingly, when I checked the beef and potatoes, the potatoes are done, but they're not. They're still al dente, which is fine, but I want them to be a little bit more on the done side. So I'm going to cook this for an additional 6 hours. And I ended up taking some of the broth and the potatoes out because when I took the lid off of the pressure cooker, not that it was steaming or anything like that, but remember I added a lot of liquid. So a lot of that liquid came pretty much pouring down on the sides, and I don't have that liquid catcher anymore. I don't know where it is. So this is why I have the towel wrapped around the pressure cooker to absorb any liquids that seep from the sides. I also added kosher salt because upon tasting the broth and the potatoes, there wasn't enough salt. In the beginning, I added sea salt and pink Himalayan sea salt and fresh cracked black pepper. So the kosher salt will break down accordingly and season the potatoes, the broth, and the beef accordingly. Remember, in my kitchen, I break the rules. I did not use beef stock for my beef and potatoes. I didn't have any, and while I was at the store, I didn't think about getting any. So I ended up using chicken stock because that's what I had on hand. And honestly, you really can't even taste the difference, especially when I continue on adding the herbs and spices along the way. Anyway, let's take a look at our beef and potatoes and go from there. Now, as I said, I've already tasted it, added hot sauce to this bowl right here, and everything tastes good, but it's going to taste even better once I add the dried thyme, the dried rosemary, oh my God, the paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, parsley. Everything is just going to, flavor-wise, come together accordingly once I add the rest of those components. But let's get a closer look and let's stir in it so you guys can see. Now the beef is breaking down. I can tell because I'm pulling little pieces here and there. I also have to remember that I added 5 bay leaves because we can't digest bay leaves, you guys. So I have to remember to pick those out. Or if I end up having one in my mouth, just not chew it and swallow it. Liquid wise, I do believe that the slur, or if that's what they call it, but the mixture of flour and water did some justice in regard to the liquid, because it would be a little bit more on the thinner side had I not done that. But Grams, this is all in honor of you. As I said, January 22nd, 2015 is when my grandmother passed away. So this marks the 8th year of her death. And beef and potatoes was one of her favorite meals to cook, not only for herself, but for her family. And of course, I'm adding my own aesthetics to the beef and potatoes, but this is all for you, Grams. All for you. All right, you guys, I'm going to set this for 6 more hours. And upon waking up, I will add the rest of my seasonings, herbs, spices, and whatever else the case may be. And we'll check the beef and potatoes and go from there. But before we do anything, look at that, you guys. I'm going to drink some of this. Well, I'm going to drink all of it. Beef and potatoes.